Hi everybody, it's David Lee with special guest this month, Danny Unthank. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm still the same guest that I was last month. I'm doing fantastic, Dave.
Oh,
How are you, mate?
we've just had a great conversation, you and me, but now we've got to get back to business. What we've been doing the last month, it's coffee time, as you know. We do this once a month. And Danny, I'm going to ask you the questions this month. And a topic that's very close to you is small business and the skill sets of the small business entrepreneurs. And the question you've got for everybody, Danny, out there is, do you have those skill sets to be a small entrepreneur? And you've got opinions on what's taken for you to, as I see, you work from home. You are in charge of what you're doing, what comes next in your life. And so we're virtually going to have a discussion about the people that are watching us. Have they got the skills? So, Danny, I got a question for you. It is, in this day and age, what do you think the biggest failure in small businesses are at this very moment? What do you think they are, Danny?
Lack of experience. It's like anything, Dave. I started off in electrical engineering, as you know, and what I found is that I started to study business, and when business wasn't really all that much of a course people were taking, and I used to see quite a number of the managers up there making really decisions which didn't make any logical sense whatsoever. And business really is just common sense knowledge. That's what it is. But it just seems to me that the thing about common sense is it really isn't all that common. So taking into consideration where my future was going to be within that organisation and with the skill set or the knowledge that I gained at university, I disappeared off and did my own thing. So coming from an engineering background, then it left me with one or two things. I either went contracting or started working for myself. But the distribution business is very, very much different from anybody else in the sense that it's a very close-knit community in the sense that there's not many people. You just can't get engineers like me straight off the shelf. So what I had to do is look at other avenues. Now, when I started to explore being a self-employed person, it was extremely different. So all my knowledge and whatever I had to learn new skill sets, and one of them is I went into sales, because sales was very much take anybody else on. Commission-only sales was literally the only thing that I could get hold of, basically because I had no experience in sales, and sales is a very, very much underestimated skill set. So I went through all of that and became a salesperson, so to speak, before I went off and started my own business. But it seems to me that quite a number of people in managers and stuff like that, they are literally that. They are managers, and the work is actually provided for. So the long and short of it, they're just dealing with a problem or finding a solution to everyday problems that you get. If indeed you stick them into the working environment, is that then they've got to create their own work, they've got to create their own market, they've got to assess it and do X, Y, and Z. And what I find is that this is what lets people down, and this is what lets small businesses down. The sense is that your cash flow is king. And what happens if you make a little mistake, it affects your cash flow. And if you haven't got any cash flow, you haven't got a business, you've just got an expensive hobby.
So, Danny, you've come from a background where it's been a corporate background like myself, but you are sheltered. When you go out and you're running your own small business, I think with the sales skills that you did pick up along the way, and I think you've also got them naturally, you are in the firing line many times. You're dealing with the public, you're dealing with decision making that will impact on your business, and it's the bottom line of your business. And it is underrated, because if you cannot communicate your message, even if you've got a skill set, if people don't buy into you, Danny, they're not going to buy your products or services as a small business. So that's what I picked up listening from you. And I do remember especially in about 3-4 years ago, you were addressing quite a few challenges in your life going through this transition stage, that it is not straightforward. And what you just want to recall some of those things that you were talking about at that stage as you were looking to move forward and change your work dynamics.
You said that again, sorry?
Do you remember when we had that conversation down at Brown's Bar? And you said this, you had to make this work. You were at a point where, you couldn't go back, so you had to go forward. Do you recall that?
Oh, yeah. Certainly, I had, and this is basically going into I was self-employed, and I was working through agency work, and the agency decided not to pay me. So I had to look at doing something pretty serious. It was backs to the walls, and I said, right, you've got to come out fighting. So, it's a case of listening intently, absorb everything that you possibly can and move it forward. But again, is that, at least I had an ability at the time and the foresight to see the market change. And this is where another thing that you don't look at, and I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, you'll get somebody in work, in a place of work, and go, right, I'm going to leave work, and I'm going to start a coffee shop. So they'll start a coffee shop, which is great. They're only coffee shop in the town, so everything's fine and dandy. But when somebody else comes and opens up a coffee shop, is that right? Okay, now they've got to differentiate themselves from the market, and and if another one opens up, it seems like a great idea. You've got to differentiate yourself from them and provide something different. And it's not just about being the first player in it; it's a case of actually being able to actually get out and do something. This one of the if you go on holiday, this is what most people perceive as differentiating in the market. So you go on Spain, and there's a guy there, you go to the shop or like a British bar in Spain or whatever, believe it, and then they'll go breakfast. They'll go 2 sausages, bacon and eggs. And then you go, look at that, for €5. You go, oh, that's €5? Look at that, 2 bacon, 2 sausages, 2 eggs, right? And then you go down the road and it says 3 sausages, 3 eggs, beans. We've got beans on this one. So we have this competition where we go around and we have a look and say, all right, let's see if you can find the biggest deal. And you get down, oh, somebody's got mushrooms over there. And that is the way that differentiate themselves from what's in, and they try and get it cheaper. They get it cheaper, cheaper. And the business is not about that.
And the winner is the one. The winner is the one that's the cheapest. It goes out of business first.
The winner is the one that's the cheapest. Which is just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. It's not about being in business. It's about actually providing a service or providing something.
An experience, not just actually the experience of being in the place. It could be the ambience or whatever, the owners, the connection, and be able to do that.
Yeah.
I had one, Danny, last night. Go on.
I was going to turn around and say, like, if they turn around and say, we're going to have a belly-busting breakfast, we've got the finest ingredients or something like that, they can keep the price the same, and it still differentiates the product. They can do it with napkins, they can do it with, free coffee, or you can add, rather than actually reducing the price, they can actually add other elements to the business or the service to make it more appealing to the people, rather than just actually dropping the price.
I had one last night, Danny. As you understand, working for somebody, working in corporate life for an organization, working for yourself is different. And I spoke to this lady, and she was developing this consultation service where they do placements and get them based on, they do a series of interviews, bio, whatever it's called, to get the right person for the right job. And again, they were building the whole system, getting it all down, spending a lot of time and effort and resources, and with no customers. And I said, why don't you, what I call reverse engineer, go out and find the customers first and build your products around some people that would be interested, and building it up that way. And then you'd have people that were loyal to you. You could prove it, get some case studies and build it that way. Whereas most people go and do it the other way. They spend the time, effort, money, build it all up, have no customers, and then go and try and market to, go out to the market and market their products, their services. And quite often, no communications, no sales. And so they have to hire somebody to do that. It's just, I said, step back. That doesn't make any sense. It does not.
That's the first premise of starting a business. You go around and you assess the market. You ask the market what they want first of all.
Absolutely.
Whether you do that through quantitative information or qualitative
Yeah.
information. That's what you do your research on. And then you can do it primary studies, secondary studies, all sorts of stuff like that. So, it might be a case of interviews, it might be a case of letters, which, I wouldn't turn around and say, but essentially getting out there and asking people exactly what they want. And that's
and I said to her, who's going to say no? You're providing a free service that you're going to start introducing people to them. In return for, you're going to get case studies, you're going to get testimonials, you're going to prove that what you've got works. You do this for a dozen people, you've immediately got your marketing campaign. Because what you're doing works. I've got some more questions. We're going to run out of time. What core attribute do you think makes for the better business person, Danny? For small business, what core attribute? Attitude.
Purely and simply attitude. I'll tell you the reason why. It's like I saw a manager doing something, and he started his own business, and he's struggling.
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is because he comes from a position of superiority, and he doesn't connect with where he was to where he should be. And that is the difference. Now, the other thing is you can get a bad attitude, but essentially, if you've got specifically the right attitude, you will actually draw yourself to the right skill set that you actually need with a winning sort of premise around you. And that's essentially what it is. If you don't have the right attitude, you can just throw it all away. Just give it up. You've got to have a winning attitude, and whether you actually get that from motivational talks, go and see people, motivational speakers, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. Or you just build it yourself.
Well,
it's a case of
sometimes you've also you don't have the skill set, and you're not pre-programmed, or it's not for you. I find with me, and I'm sure with you, you have to connect with other people that have. You can't do it all yourself.
No, you can't. You're exactly right. You can't do it. And again, if you can spend 3-4 years training yourself up on a skill set which you're probably not designed to do, you may as well just give it to somebody else. And then say, right, well, just pay him the money. Don't try and scrimp and scrape. But then again, don't let your eyes be taken out either.
Yeah, so that is for me, and you and everybody I know that's successful. We cannot do everything. It's not like being an employee just following orders, and a lot of people, Danny, are not cut out for small business. Let's just be blunt. They're not. A job is not a bad thing for many people, and they can achieve fulfillment in a career path.
Well, that's also true, but they've also got a bit to look at in this, and even if you're not, if you're just looking at it from being in a position of employment, is what happens if you lose your job?
Yeah.
Right. So you either build up another skill set for doing another job, or you build up enough money and set it aside just in case you need to go find a job.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say from that.
Nobody's safe in this current economic environment. We know it is very fragile. Anything could trigger a change that many people are not prepared for, and therefore we have to be able to be flexible, adaptable, and foresee. Look to what's coming as opposed to what's been. Now, I've got one last question, Danny. How do you think business is changing? And business is changing a lot. Where do you think people should be focusing today? This leads on really where we're going to.
Well, that's a good question. I have a shop which I rent out, and one of the things I was really quite surprised about was because I asked questions, what are you doing, just to see how secure your investment in with them, because it's either way, It's not just a case of filling a shop and then knowing that they're going to fall over 6 months later. That's no good to me. I want to know that somebody's going to be in there for the long term. So you ask questions, what you doing, how have you come across that idea, and ask questions about their market and what their market influences. And this is what really made it for me. It was like a case of, right, businesses have changed, fundamentally changed. Technology is actually changed. And it's not just a case of getting a property, open it up, sitting there with your arms folded, waiting for customers to come in through the door. It doesn't happen like that. There's social media, there's the internet. You've got to break down the four walls which are actually holding you in. because you're limited from that. So get knowledge of the internet, get yourself a Facebook presence, a social media presence, and drive your business forward that way.
Thanks, Danny. Time's up. We'll catch you again next month. Yep. Get back. Bye-bye, everybody. Let your friends know about your business post, and post on the site if you've got something to say. And we look forward to speaking to you next month. Bye-bye, Danny.
Free information. How can you get that? Free. And just ask your question, and anything you need to know, we'll go down there. We'll give you the information free of charge.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.